Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You watching Decoding Now with me, Meghna Deka. Well, tonight we are going to expose the Desi Epstein files. Our very own predator who honey-trapped minor girls, lured them on WhatsApp and Snapchat, taped them in compromising positions without their consent, and then blackmailed them. Watch this man. This is Ayan Ahmed Tanveer. He is the main accused. He's about 19 years old, and he's the one who laid a love trap on social media and messaging platforms. He exploited underage girls across Amravati, Pune, as well as Mumbai. Well, tonight on Decoding Now, we are going to reveal the sinister playbook of a pervert. We are going to tell you, first, how Ayan lured 180 minors on WhatsApp and Snapchat. Second, how minor victims were blackmailed into silence and didn't go to the police. And third, how did Ayan make 100+ sleaze tapes for viral content? And why did he think he could get away with it? First, let's tell you more about how the predator from Maharashtra allegedly operated. We're going to tell you step by step his modus operandi. First, he baited minor girls in these love traps. He used Snapchat and WhatsApp groups, at least that we know of. He then allegedly took these victims to Mumbai and Pune. That's where he filmed videos of them in compromising positions. From his phone, there were at least 315 obscene videos which were recovered by the police after he was arrested. He used obscene videos to blackmail these girls, and most of them were minor girls, underage girls. Then these girls were threatened that he is going to release the footage of them online. Then he baited the minor girls and told them that they will be killed. That's right. He issued death threats to these victims. Then maybe he pushed them into flesh trade. That is what the police are probing. How did he blackmail them? Did he push them into flesh trade? Well, right now, even as we speak, the police are investigating that angle. What we do know, however, is that this man, Ayan, whom you can see dancing blissfully, these are social media posts that he put out of himself, dancing blissfully. This man released over 100 videos online of young girls, minor girls, in compromising positions. This is what this pervert allegedly did. This is a classic case of lust-filled honey trapping, and that too of minors allegedly. Well, it appears that he cannot get away with it forever. Soon, hopefully, he's going to be paying for his alleged crimes if he committed them. Let's tell you about the charges under which Ayan, this 19-year-old predator, has been booked by the Maharashtra police. The first charge he faces is BNS section 64 and 70, which is severe sexual assault. Also BNS section 75 and 78, which is cyber harassment and stalking. Also BNS section 308, which is death threats and intimidation to minors at that, let's not forget. BNS section 74, criminal outrage of modesty of girls. And POCSO, this is very important because the POCSO Act has been imposed against him. After all, these are crimes against minor girls that he allegedly committed. He's been booked under the IT Act as well for digital crimes. Well, we told you about his modus operandi. Now let's tell you exactly how Ayan and his accomplices, because don't forget, he had accomplices as well, how they use social media to lure these minor girls, pushing them into this dark web. Well, first, these guys were making fake profiles. They were created solely to bait minor girls. Then these young girls were befriended through direct messages. After which, these young trapped girls were brought into that love trap tactics. So they had active conversations. After which, recorded private calls without their consent. That was the first step. Second step of exploitation, these men recorded explicit videos of these girls without their consent when they were in compromising positions. Then these videos were then shared videos via social media platforms as well. That's how that entire loop of exploitation was completed.
सायबर डिपार्टमेंट करतं काय आहे? सगळे व्हिडिओ व्हायरल होत आहेत. मुलींच्या सकट म्हणजे मला तर राग त्या मुलींचा पण येतोय, त्या बायांचा पण येतोय की त्यांना अक्कल नाहीये, त्यांना समजत नाहीये काय होतंय ते, स्वतःचं संरक्षण करू शकत नाहीये त्या. अशा कशा म्हणजे हवी अशा कशा पडतात? काय अक्कल घाण ठेवलेलं आहे काय? आणि होम डिपार्टमेंट तर पूर्णपणे झोपलेलं आहे असं माझं मत आहे.
But let's now remind you some of the other horrendous cases, similar cases where women, minor girls have been targeted, because unfortunately this scourge of blackmailing girls, of trapping girls is not just limited to Amravati. Remember the Ajmer blackmail scandal? This was in 1992. And unfortunately there, over 250 victims were actually being compromised. Influential men lured girls to compromising photos of them and used them to blackmail the victims. Over 250 such victims were exploited. Modus operandi was of serial blackmail via photographs of women. Second case, the Banda horror case. This was in Uttar Pradesh between 2010 and 2016. Now remember, Uttar Pradesh's junior engineer Ram Bhagwan and his wife Durgavati, they were the ones who were exploiting minor boys. There were 33 minor boys who were being filmed them for dark web trade. Both of them, the husband and wife, have now been arrested. Then you had the Muzaffarpur shelter home scandal which came to light. This was 2018. A former MLA, Brajesh Thakur, along with his associates, were exploiting girls who were there in shelter homes. 34 shelter home girls were exploited. What was their MO? Their MO was that the girls were drugged, then they were abused in these shelter homes. And remember Operation May Chakra. This was a pan-India operation in 2022. Under this operation by the police, they targeted online circulation of girls and especially children's sexual abuse material. Over 50 individuals were part of the organized digital syndicate which were probed and cracked down upon. Over 1,000 victims were found in this operation. What was their MO? They were minors who were being groomed via social media. Yes, that is the scourge of social media. Is it too late already for us to act? And why haven't we? Let's put some of these questions across to Dr. Chinu Agarwal. He's a psychologist as well as a psychotherapist. He's a director with Feeling Minds. Dr. Vikram Singh is also joining us, the DGP, the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Singh, I'm going to come to you first because it's important for us to understand. 180 minor girls, at least that's the tip of the iceberg perhaps, were being exploited by these, at least 4 men who have now been arrested. How can a ring such as that operate blatantly under the nose of the authorities when we have so many digital cells also? You have new restrictions, regulations of social media. How can this happen when at least 180 young girls, minors, were being exploited? Over 350 videos of them in compromising positions were taken without their consent. How?
Meghna ji, good evening, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I would say there are horrible fault lines in the entire grisly saga. And the fault line number one, you very rightly mentioned, all this operated on WhatsApp and Snapchat. We have a system, what is known as cyber patrolling, and also generation of criminal intelligence. Whatever is happening, the police cannot wash their hands of the case and say, we were oblivious to what was going on. 190 girls, they do matter. Their dignity does matter. And what happened was, in fact, that they were lured, ensnared, and the predator had a free run. If the predator was working online and also going about in Mumbai and other places and exploiting the girls, what was the criminal intelligence doing? Don't you think it was unnatural for so many? And I would also say, please examine, I would advise the investigating officers to examine the faith of the victims also, because that is very important. There has to be a criminal angle too. Now to act with impunity and also have a gang, and it was a business model. First to make the videos, then to indulge in human trafficking, and then to market these objectionable videos in the gray areas and into the pornography industry also should have raised red flags. Because when you do radio monitoring and also cyber monitoring of the girls, the facial recognition software identifies who the victims are. You cannot live in a fool's paradise and say that we were oblivious to everything. Fortnight number 2, this boy had a free run, 19 years. And obviously there was no tracking, there was no criminal intelligence, suspicious activity reporting system as we have in the police. This should have alerted the local chowki that this boy is a predator and a deviant. Fortnight number 3, a criminal record, criminal activity, and then there was absolutely no record in the police station. I refuse to believe that. You really have to try very hard to have this kind of a volcanic eruption of sexual perversion and be absolutely indifferent.
Absolutely. Very important. And thank you so much for explaining that very well. This is where the probe really lacked. And more importantly, why wasn't there intelligence on this earlier? This should have been preemptive. This should not be something after 180, at least 180 girls get exploited. Now, Dr. Agarwal, the unfortunate reality of India. Yes, we can talk about how women must be kept safe, how girls must be educated about the risk of social media, how all children should be told about the risk. But at the end of it, you just heard one of the Congress leaders coming out and saying, didn't these girls have brains that they got exploited in this manner? That's the dark underbelly of Indian psyche and the mindset, isn't it? Victim shaming.
Yeah, Meghna. Unfortunately, I would like to inform you that Yashomati is my childhood friend and I belong to the same city, Amravati. That's my hometown. And I'm so sorry that she has to say this. I mean, victim blaming is a psychological and social phenomenon where we, shift the blame entirely or partially from the perpetrator of the crime to the victim. And it is so unfortunate that we do not understand the modus operandi that you were just telling. The perpetrator was involved in an organized crime which was intentional, where he was building the trust of these girls, where he was actually grooming them, where he actually took so much time and effort to take them to that level where they got manipulated and exploited by him and his accomplices. And just to say that, didn't they have any brains? What about the mature women who we found getting exploited in the Ashok Kharat case in Nasik? What about we ourselves? Each one of us getting, blinded by such kind of promises and such kind of, love traps in our own lives. Do we not have brains? It is very, very easy to blame others, to blame the government and lack accountability yourself. Absolutely. You are also a part of the same society. And It is because of this victim blaming and victim shaming that the victims do not come out. They do not feel safe to come out and say that they are being targeted, Absolutely. That they are being exploited. It is when people of so much importance start siding with the perpetrator and say that, it was the victim's fault in a way, and they ask questions like, what were they doing? What were they wearing? Why were they not alert enough? In psychology, we have very many hypotheses to explain this. One of them is just world hypothesis, where we somehow say that, the world is just, the world is fair. And so if anything out of that comes up, we try to justify it by saying that something must be wrong with the victim. Something they must have done.
The easiest thing to say, boys will be boys, it's the girls who should be locked up. But Dr. Vikram Singh, we aspire to be a society better than this. What should the police do right now? when there are 180 odd girls who appear in these 350 videos, so far, the number of victims who have actually come out in light, come out and complained, only 8. How do we fix that?
Meghna, this is yet another administrative tragedy, which Dr. Agarwal has lucidly explained. That the victim shaming is one reason why the victims are very, very reluctant to come out and make a complaint. Why to the police, even to their own parents? A simple experiment, and I have tried and tested it. Community policing. Let the community elders be a part of policing. Let them explain and tell the police on a day-to-day basis. Let there be WhatsApp group informing what is not natural and what is not fitting in, what is unusual, and identify every fault line and every roadside Romeo and every such Casanova should be identified and should be under police surveillance. We have done that. I've done it in Noida. Lo and behold, I'm returning to Noida after 40 years of Operation Romeo. Those Romeos continue to be gentlemen, because if you instill the fear of law in them, they will not look at any girl. But if I choose to look the other way because there is no pecuniary advantage for me, well, God save our girls and God save our women.
Well, very well put, Dr. Vikram Singh. At the end of it, it is us as a society who also need to take up the cudgels and try and protect these young girls, minor girls. At the end of it, let's not forget, it wasn't the cyber cells of any police who actually tracked down Ayan. It was the locals who went there, protested, raised their voice. It was an MLA of that area who went to the police and said, look, listen, this is what is happening. This is how young girls are being trapped, harassed, blackmailed. It took a society, so let's also play a more active role in keeping it safe for the girls. Really appreciated Dr. Singh as well as Dr. Agarwal for joining us here on the show. Here on Decoding Now, we try to get you all aspects of it. Yes, there was negligence on the part of police, that why didn't they have local intelligence over it? But it is up to us as a society as well to ensure that we are more vigilant. Stay vigilant. That is the takeaway. Thank you for watching. A quick break.